Welcome to Screen Hollywood, the home of movie news and entertainment. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
I'm gonna burn it all down. Mother!
Welcome back to Screen Hollywood. I'm your host, Adam. If you're new here, join the Hollywood family and hit the like, subscribe, notification bell, and hype button. And bookmark and subscribe to our news publication at screenhollywood.com. Today, we are heading back to Woodsboro, much sooner than anyone anticipated. We've spent the last few months dissecting every frame of the Scream 7 development, the return of Neve Campbell, and the Stu Macher theories. But while the seventh film is still the talk of the town, Paramount has decided to drop a nuclear bomb on the horror community. It is officially confirmed, Scream 8 has entered active development. Now, on one hand, this is a testament to the enduring power of Ghostface. But on the other hand, the details coming out of this announcement have left me, and many of our industry insiders, feeling a bit conflicted. We've got a brand new writing duo, a production schedule that looks like a sprint through a minefield, and a creative direction that might be moving away from the slasher tropes we know and love. Today, we're going to look at the Zuckerman sisters taking the lead, the massive risk Paramount is taking by fast-tracking a script that doesn't even exist yet, and why the Stu Macher card is being held closer to the vest than ever before. If you thought the Scream franchise was playing it safe, think again. Let's dive into the production chaos of Scream 8. Let's talk about the big news first. The Hollywood Reporter recently confirmed that Lillard and Nora Zuckerman have been officially tapped to pen the script for Scream 8. Now, if those names don't immediately scream horror to you, there's a very good reason for that. When I first saw the news, I'll be honest, I was worried. My initial response was a giant why. The Zuckerman sisters aren't exactly known for their work in the slasher subgenre. They haven't spent their careers dreaming up creative ways for Ghostface to gut teenagers. Instead, their credentials lie in high-stakes thrillers, dramas, and procedural mysteries. We're talking about the duo behind Poker Face, the hit Natasha Lyonne series. They worked on Prodigal Son, Suits, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. These are sisters who know how to write smart dialogue, intricate puzzles, and character-driven drama. But Scream is about the rules, the meta-commentary, and the visceral thrill of the hunt. So, why the choice? Looking at it from a slightly different angle, this might actually be a stroke of genius, and I emphasize the word might. The Scream franchise has always thrived on being smarter than your average horror movie. By bringing in writers who excel at thrillers and psychological depth, the studio might be signaling that they want to move beyond just Ghostface running around wasting everybody in sight. They might be looking for a psychological edge that gives the story a layer of sophistication we haven't seen since the original 1996 masterpiece. But it's a gamble, guys. A massive one. I've been thinking about this psychological edge all morning. If you look at Prodigal Son or Poker Face, the Zuckermans are experts at the whodunit and the psychological fallout of crime. Perhaps Paramount has realized that the Core 4 era and the Legacy sequel formula need a fresh injection of actual story rather than just survival. In my mind, there's a possibility that Scream 8 is going to be more of a psychological thriller than a traditional slasher. Imagine a Ghostface who doesn't just call you to ask about your favorite scary movie, but a Ghostface who systematically dismantles your sanity before they ever pick up a knife. If they use the Zuckerman sisters' credentials to build a story with real depth, where the mystery is as much about the why as the who, it could rejuvenate the brand. But, and it's a big but, we have to ask, is that what fans want? Scream fans want the chase scenes. They want the tension of someone hiding in a closet. They want the blood. If the Zuckerman sisters lean too far into the drama and lose the slasher, we could be looking at a very divisive entry in the franchise. To be honest, I'm still a bit confused with the choice, but it is undeniably an interesting one. It's a pivot away from the horror veterans only club, and that could go either way. Let me know in the comments, do you want a smarter Scream, or do you just want Ghostface to get to work? Now, here is where the Screen Hollywood team started getting nervous. Reports have started filtering in that the Zuckerman sisters have been handed an incredibly tight schedule. Paramount has already penciled in a rough schedule for shoot periods, and they want this movie to move fast. From what our team has researched, there is currently no rough draft in place, We are talking about a project that is currently living in the concepts and story ideas phase. Lilla and Nora Zuckerman have the mammoth task of producing a high-quality, feature-length script in a relatively short window of time. And let me tell you, I am not a fan of rushed scripts. In this industry, a rushed script almost always results in a bad finished article. We've seen it happen time and time again. Studios get overexcited, they set a release date before the ink is dry on the page, and the movie suffers. The characters become two-dimensional, the plot holes become cavernous, and the meta-commentary feels forced. Writing a Scream movie is harder than writing a standard slasher. You have to account for the meta layer, the mystery, the legacy character integration, and the subversion of expectations. Doing that on a deadline? That is a tall order even for seasoned horror writers, let alone two sisters who are just finding their feet in the Woodsboro universe. I'm hoping Paramount gives them the room to breathe, but current reports suggest they are in a full-blown sprint. Of course, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. The one name that keeps coming up in every production meeting at Paramount? Stu Macher. We have had sources close to the production state that Paramount is very open to the option of bringing Matthew Lillard back into the fold for Scream 8. At this point, the studio knows that a Stu Macher return is basically a win button for the box office. It would balloon the numbers, generate unprecedented social media hype, and potentially make Scream 8 the highest-grossing film in the entire franchise. The big question is, how do the Zuckerman sisters handle a legacy of that magnitude? If they are going for a psychological thriller approach, a Stu survived the TV reveal needs to be handled with incredible care. You can't just have him pop up and say, "I'm back!" It has to be woven into the fabric of the psychological trauma of the characters. Imagine a script where Sidney Prescott is being haunted by the idea of Stu, only to realize that the phantom is real. That's where the Zuckerman's background in thrillers could actually pay off. They could make his return feel grounded and terrifying rather than just a gimmick. Our team is keeping a very close eye on these developments. If Matthew Lillard's name appears on a contract, you'll hear it here first. You have to ask yourself why Paramount is moving this fast. Is it confidence in the Zuckerman sisters? Or is it desperation to keep the horror momentum going while the legacy sequel trend is still profitable? We are currently in a weird spot in Hollywood. Horror is one of the few genres that is still a guaranteed return on investment, but the audience is getting smarter. They are rejecting lazy sequels. By hiring writers from Poker Face and Prodigal Son, Paramount is trying to signal that they aren't being lazy. They are trying to tell us that they value the writing above all else. But again, the schedule is the enemy here. You can hire the best writers in the world, but if you give them 3 weeks to write a masterpiece, you're going to end up with a mess. I suspect that Scream 8 is being positioned as the climax of this current era, and they want to strike while the iron is hot. But as I always say on this channel, if you go too fast, you're going to crash. I'm intrigued by the Zuckermans. I really am. Their work on Suits and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. showed they can handle long-term character arcs and complex lore. But Scream is a different beast. It's a movie that needs to feel like a sharp knife, precise, clean, and dangerous. A rushed script feels like a blunt object. So where does that leave us? Scream 8 is officially a go. The Zuckerman sisters are at the keyboard. The clock is ticking. And Stu Macher is looming in the shadows of the production office. It is an incredibly interesting time to be a horror fan. We are seeing a franchise that is nearly 30 years old trying to reinvent itself once again. I want to believe that the psychological thriller angle is the right move. I want to believe that Nora and Lilla Zuckerman are going to give us a Sidney Prescott story that feels deep, resonant, and genuinely terrifying in a new way. But I'm staying cautious. Rushed production windows and concepts-only drafts are the red flags of the industry. We've seen many great franchises stumble at this exact hurdle. Paramount is holding a winning hand with the Scream brand, but they need to play it perfectly. I'll be keeping a very close eye on the casting calls and the script leaks as they come in. If the Zuckermans can pull this off, they'll be the new heroes of horror. If not, Ghostface might finally meet a foe he can't outrun. A bad script. What do you think? Are you worried about the Zuckerman sisters' lack of horror experience? Or do you think a thriller perspective is exactly what Scream 8 needs? And do you think they can actually produce a great script on such a tight deadline? Drop a comment down below and let's get the conversation started. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Screen Hollywood for more first-person production updates and the truth behind the industry. I'm Adam, and I'll see you in the next one.